and welcome to the Small Show. Today I will be interviewing one of the very many World War I heroes. He's one of Aboriginal's heroes of World War I. Please welcome Walter Christopher Saunders. No problem. Thanks for having me. Okay, let's get on to the questions. Walter, tell us a little bit about your life outside of war. Well, I grew up in a small town called Warrnambool in Victoria, Australia, and I was born on the 29th of February, 1895. I started my family with my wife Mabel, and we had a child called Reginald, named after my uncle William Reginald Rawlings, who also served in World War I. Do you think you would have had a different experience when you were training for war and when you were at war if you weren't an Aboriginal and you were an English citizen of Australia? Most Aboriginal people at war were treated very similar to the English citizen, as the military quoted in 1917. Half castes may be enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force if examining medical orders are satisfied that one of the parents is of European origin. And this also meant that we would be treated the same ways that the other Australian soldiers were at Imperial Force. Why did you decide to sign up for the Imperial Force? One of the main reasons I signed up for the Australian Imperial Force in World War I because back then and still now it is extremely hard to get a job and extremely unfair for Aboriginal people to find a job. In World War I for Indigenous soldiers, they got paid the same wage as the non-Indigenous soldiers. Another reason I decided to sign up for the Australian Imperial Force is that there were 1,300 other Indigenous soldiers that also signed up for the Australian Imperial Force. When your Imperial Force gun team went to war, were there only lots of injuries, or were there deaths and injuries? In the 10th Machine Gun Company, on a typical day when we were at war, there was around 8 deaths and around 30 people would be severely injured, so it was extremely dangerous and horrifying for me and for anyone else that was at war. When you were extremely ill in hospital, were there any times you thought you were going to die? Well, back in World War I, the probability that you were going to die if you were ill was extremely high, as 46,700 people in World War I died of illness. So I was commonly seeing the horrifying sight of people dying around me, and that sometimes did make me think I was going to die. But I was lucky, and recovered quite quickly. When you were released from hospital, you were sent back to Australia to have a break. What was the energy like in Australia during that time? When I returned home to Australia, the country was in big financial trouble, as most working men went to World War I and most died. However, this part of life didn't really affect me because I returned home to my Indigenous land. But of course, World War I so dramatically affected the way our lives operated, as there were 1,300 Aboriginals that also served in World War I. So when the Aboriginals that survived returned home to our community, we were in quite tough times, as hardly any grown-ups, such men, in our community during that time. When you returned home to Australia, did younger people see you as a role model? Well, I don't think younger people should or did see me as a role model. Although I served my country and saved my country's future, I killed people I've never even talked to before and probably never even seen before. So for that me, it was a really hard thing and definitely something I would never be proud of. Wow, that's really deep. Did World War I affect the way you lived back home, and did you often have flashbacks in your mind of your experiences of war? Yeah, I experienced a lot of flashbacks of not so pleasant times of when I was at war. The weird thing was, I didn't really experience many flashbacks until when I first returned home, but I really started experiencing some horrifying flashbacks after a week or two of being in Australia. When you returned home in Australia in 1999 for good, you started a lovely family with your beautiful wife, Mabel. Was it harder to raise a family after all those shocking experiences at World War I? Well, it probably made an impact of how I raised my son, Reginald. However, I believe this really helped me with raising my son, as it made me more aware of how quickly a life can be taken away from someone. So yes, it definitely affected the ways I raised my son, Reginald. More on your son, Reginald. He ended up being the first Aboriginal captain for Australia in a war. How proud were you as a father, and do you think that you may have been one of the reasons Reginald decided to enlist in World War II and be a captain? Well, I definitely think the way I brought him up as a kid, and the stories I told him of when I was at war, definitely made an impact on why he wanted to go to war. However, I believe the main reason he was the first Aboriginal captain in the military was because he was intelligent, nice, and a fit human being. Wow, thank you so much for your time. The stories of water run are so inspirational and motivating. Well, thanks for having me, and hope to see you again soon. Well, that'll be it for tonight's show of The Smallman Show. Tune in next time for more inspirational videos with inspirational people.